you are feeling better and that you heal very, 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 very quickly. Our comments, two is out with our comments also, and so man, we're doing all the things today, Christina. Right? Actually, you'll just get no comments because if two's not doing the comments, is anybody doing the comments? No. Because she's so amazing at it. She really does a great, great recap. I'll tell you what, Sonia does an excellent job at comments.
Yeah,
also.
she does.
So Sonia, if you happen to be watching, I know that she's been under the weather too. Mm-hmm. So Sonia, if you're watching and you can make comments, then please do. We would welcome that. And also, I had a fantastic surprise today.
You did.
Look, balloons. I love balloons. And somebody, I don't like to name names, but somebody was just so awesome, and it was such a beautiful surprise. Today was, we were running around. A day was a lot, and it's always nice to be appreciated. So
I love it. It says, thanks for all that you do.
Aww.
It's so sweet because it's so true. You do so much.
Well, thank you.
For so many people, and you affect so many lives. And I love that somebody recognized you.
Well, thank you. It almost made me cry. I did cry a little bit.
You did,
but
yeah. It was sweet, though.
It is so sweet. It's so touching. And so thank you.
Yeah.
Like
you
I said,
work
I don't
so hard, and with ministry, you just chug away, and and you just never know you don't always know the impact that you make.
Yeah.
And so I love that somebody decided to just remind you today. Thank you for everything that you do.
Aww, well, thank you.
Just recognize you. And Angie loves balloons.
I love balloons. I do. And these are, oh my gosh, the bouquet and the balloon. It's just awesome.
So cute.
So thank you. And it is. It's nice to, you know what I mean? Like, especially out of the blue for somebody just to be like, I appreciate you and thank you.
Yes.
And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Not to make it all about me.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it all about you. It's fun. It's fun.
Aw. So just a few things. Today, I love the topic that we are going to talk about. I had kind of been rolling it around like for a couple days thinking, okay, what do we want to, I always try to say, Holy Spirit, what do you want to teach? Not what I want to, but what do we want to talk about? And I kept developing this idea, and it's so funny because a lot of times it doesn't completely come together, but it kind of came together when you and I were talking. I mentioned part of what I wanted to talk about, and then we started talking about it, and I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. So today we are talking, so now everybody wants to know. It's
what is it? What is it?
Just kidding. We're going to be talking about, I just clicked out of mine. Hold on, let me click back to my screen. We are going to do something called a spiritual growth checkup.
Yeah.
So are you wondering how you're doing spiritually? If you're wondering how you do spiritually, stay tuned because we're going to talk about that. Because I won't go too much into it. Let me make some announcements before we can get to the exciting part. So this Saturday, we had the Spiritual Growth Workshop.
Yes.
We have a Spiritual Growth Workshop every second Saturday of the month. And it was really great. We talked about subconscious mind.
Yes. Sorry, the pups are...
I know. The pups, they're like, pay attention, pay attention.
Yeah, it was great. The subconscious mind. It was an awesome workshop.
We don't know why we do the things we do so many times unless we make the unknown known, and our patterns make sense. It makes sense why we do what we do. Because imagine, like, you just not knowing why you're doing things.
Right.
Like, here is you're going to catch one of the little squirrels over there. Do Isabella. She's got space buns. Look how cute she is.
Say hello.
Say hi. Say hi. Ruff, ruff,
Growing her hair out.
Ruff, ruff, roo. Rocco came running. Come here, buddy. I'll show you off too. He's like, and me too. Hi. Oh, don't lick it.
Our little ministry
Hello.
workers.
Rocco, we say, is our little British boy, and Isabella is our little Colombian woman. She's a little spicy.
Yeah.
And Rocco's a little more reserved, a little proper gentleman.
Yeah,
he is. We need him like a little tux.
Yes.
but they run around crazy.
Mhm.
And what is so neat, I'll get back to the workshop in just a second, but what is really neat with them, you really see them respond to people who are hurting, like
Mhm.
our little therapy dogs here.
Yeah.
They just really respond when somebody gets upset. And what's amazing too is they're so intuitive, and they're not if somebody gets upset, because you know what, sometimes counseling is a little rowdy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and deliverance, inner healing, stuff
Mhm.
like that can look a little rowdy,
Mhm.
and they don't even flinch.
Right.
They're just rolling right with us.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, the cows across the street, you would think that
They go crazy.
I think they think they're really big dogs and they're a threat or something. I don't know. But so if you hear that, or somehow the light
Flickers.
falls down, they'll settle down in just a minute. But with the spiritual growth, what I love is it's so neat
Mhm.
to find out. Like, for so long, you try to do the best you can do and try to do the best that you can do.
Mhm.
And then you find out, "Ah, well, duh, no wonder. I have if you think of your brain as a computer and your mind as programming,
Mhm.
like your subconscious mind, it is literally the program that runs everything that you do.
Yeah.
And you have a conscious part and a subconscious part, and which makes it, you don't under know. It's under your conscience.
Mhm.
So your consciousness. So it's really awesome.
Yes.
And I think we don't have the workshop up yet, but we'll have it up probably this weekend. We'll
Yeah.
be able to post it on up. But check it out, because there's a lot of really great information. The workshop is 2 parts. It's the education part, and then we do a process part after, which really is where the magic happens. But we don't post the process part because it's private, but we do post the educational part of it.
Yeah. It was great.
And next month, don't look.
I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think. Is it clearing out the chaos or getting off the hamster wheel of
Yeah,
chaos?
look, it's you.
Okay.
It's break free from chaos.
Okay. Okay.
But it is a
I
hamster
knew it was
wheel.
something about chaos.
It is break free from chaos, and that's
Okay.
going to be on the second Saturday in June 8th.
Yeah. I am very excited about that one. I'm always excited about them all, but I
Yes.
can't wait to do the workshop next month.
It's going to be really great because it's so insane how people gravitate to chaos and don't realize that they're bringing chaos. Especially with our counseling clients in here, like, we see it all the time.
Yes.
It's like they're like, I'm just trying to live my life.
And then
No,
they
you're
create.
chaos.
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't know what peace looks like. Sometimes
Right.
we need a little drama in our
Yep.
life.
Got to shake things up a little.
That's right. And they don't even realize that they're doing it at
No.
times. But we all do that to some degree. Am I making my life easier, or am I complicating it? One of the things that I used to work on with my sons is, especially when they're little and they don't really understand, I would ask them, is this going to make your problem bigger or make your problem smaller? And what I'm basically was talking about is, are you bringing drama to the table? Like, is that life choice going to bring drama, or is that life choice going to bring peace? Because that's really the underlying principle to it. So another way to think about breaking free from chaos, you making your problem larger, or are you making it smaller?
It's good.
Some people order like a jumbo size. I'd like to, what do they call it? When you,
Like biggie size.
Yes.
Yeah.
then there's something like
Upsize or-
would you like to something size
Mhm.
your meal?
Mhm.
But we do that in life. Again, our Emotions and Money registration is open. You can go to the website, thetruthDrivenLife.org, and classes begin June 6th. Registration's open for it. I talked a lot about it last week, so I won't talk too much about how amazing it's going to be and how much freedom it's going to bring to people. And we're doing a 3-part, it's a course, but we're doing a 3-part online class, 3 courses. And the first one is Emotions and Money, and I'll be teaching that one. The second one is the financial plan, and that'll be taught by Earl Gardner. And then Investing 101, that'll be taught by Lou Ann Gardner. And each
Yeah.
one of them is 8 weeks. And at the end of the 888, you're just gonna be a different person in regards to how you interact with money. So I'm really excited about that. And healing meeting this month is not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. And we encourage you after our live, what do?
We go on Zoom.
And
We minister and pray and talk about our live and just come together as a body.
it's really great because you can like you really just learned how to run with people, and how to build community.
And to connect.
It's very, very, very important.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's fun. I love our Zooms after.
I do.
Yeah.
I love everybody's perspective.
Yes.
And just being able to hear what's going on in their life, what kind of fascinating things that God has done.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
I love it.
Join us. Join us.
Yes. So enough announcements, but we have to do those to to forever keep everybody updated.
Yeah.
And also we're working on creating a new website, and so I'm excited about that. So I'll just throw that out there. So we're going to have our online courses, and it's just going to be a neat way to have more community at a certain gathering point. So it'll be really good. Now, on to our little chit chat.
Yeah.
Tell me what's up in your world.
I have no exciting update.
You
That's
had
not
an
true.
exciting weekend.
I did have an exciting weekend. My dad's birthday was last week, and then Mother's Day was Sunday. And I have me and my older brother live here in Texas, but my little brother lives in Kentucky. He just moved up there not too long ago, and he was just here for. I know they're going crazy. He was just here for a visit, and so they did not think he was going to make it for this weekend. And so we surprised them with him coming into town, and that was so much fun. So we really spent the whole weekend together. We had dinner, and then saw each other on Saturday, saw each other on Sunday. We just had a really good family weekend. Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun to surprise them. They got emotional and we're very happy. And he'd even told my mom, he was like, I'm going to a wedding in Atlanta this weekend, so I won't be able to come. She's like, okay, that's fine.
So they were super surprised. I saw the videos. They were so cute. They were, And your dad, he was so touched.
No, he could hardly hold
your
it
mom
together.
was so excited.
She was so
didn't
cute.
even recognize him at first.
No, it was so cute because we were all at their house, and my older brother lives across the street, so we hid him over there. And even the kids didn't know, my brother's kids. Yeah. So we were all just sitting around, and we had our little cameras out, but they didn't know. And he just walked in the door, and my mom looks over, and she goes, hey there. What did you think was coming in your door? She goes, hey there. And she goes, oh my gosh, Andrew. And so I said, who did you think it was? She was like, I thought maybe it was the yard guy. Like, what? Anyway, it was really cute. They were very shocked, but we had fun. How was your Mother's Day weekend?
It was really, really great. I feel like I'm trying to think what all has happened in my life this past. First of all, I went to my first stained glass class.
Yes, you did.
And I loved it. I learned, though, that I am not a natural at cutting glass. It will take a little bit of practice, but it was so much fun. And just being able to pick out the glass, pick out your, I picked out the pattern beforehand, and just seeing it all come together. It's gonna be really fun and exciting. Yeah. And like I said, I'm just surprised. I wish, next live I'm gonna have to bring the circle that I cut out. It literally looks like a preschooler cut out that circle.
I want to see.
But I held it up. The teacher was like, "No, that's really good for your first one." I'm like, we have different expectations. We have different standards. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna show y'all because it is hilarious. So we cut out our pattern tomorrow, and so wish me luck.
Good luck.
I know.
You got this.
I want to try to get
Everything's a learning curve, right?
It is. And then I'm like, okay, I got this, and I'm already like in my mind going to do the intermediate class, right?
Yeah.
After this one. So I walk by the intermediate table, right? And I'm like, by then I'll have this all down. And I look, this is terrible. This is so terrible. I walk by and I'm like, no, it's going to take a hot minute. Because in my mind, like I'm thinking like when you solder, like it's just this beautiful straight line. No, it's just like cutting glass. But that's what I saw in the intermediate class. Like it takes a lot of practice.
I would think so.
Because I saw some preschool looking projects in the intermediate class.
I know. We all want to take on a new hobby and just
Be
pick it
perfect
up
at it,
and
be
know-
wonderful at
Yeah.
it.
I remember the first time I learned to crochet and I was younger.
Did you
and
make a masterpiece?
I was going to make a blanket. I made a pot holder. I was like, this is because, you mess up. And if you mess up with crochet, you just have to undo.
Ooh.
And so I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I made a pot holder because I was.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So good luck. I did watch a guy I went and looked it up. I'm like, okay, what is this process going to be like?
Because we've been talking
for
about,
her.
like, we don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
And it's completely different than you think it's going to be,
It is.
right?
And I found this guy and he, oh boy, the videos, he just.
They make it look so easy. Indeed, it is not that easy.
I'm sure he's been doing it for ever and ever. Yeah. So I'm excited to see your progression too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm hoping, like, I was, not that I was discouraged, but I had a reality check. We're talking about spiritual growth check. I had a reality check about what my project was maybe going to look like after we did the glass cutting, because you have to learn how to cut it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's tricky too because glass, it's like sensitive, like you can't, it'll break.
It's an interesting. It doesn't always break on the line that you score. I
So
found
are
that.
you enjoying your class?
I love it.
Oh,
Totally love it.
good.
That's why I say, in no way am I discouraged. I just had a reality check and be like, okay, I'm committed to it. I
That's
got this.
awesome. I love
Already
that.
ready for the next class.
Yeah.
My finger. That's another thing too.
Oh.
I did something the other day. I don't remember what it was. Totally broke my whole fingernail off.
I hate when that happens.
And then I had to peel it, and it peeled off my nail. So
Ouchie.
I know.
You okay?
I know. I just every time I hit it wrong, because when I broke it, it broke into the quick. I know, first world problems.
Still hurts though.
But still, that's about my week. I'm excited. My youngest son is coming into town, so super stoked to see him. It's always nice when you can see your boys.
Yeah, I bet.
So that's pretty exciting. But I guess that's enough chit chat. I'm trying to think. Mother's Day was great. It was a nice, relaxing weekend.
Good.
Yeah, I felt celebrated.
Aww.
Like I said, the youngest is coming in, so we kind of delayed our Mother's Day celebration till this weekend. But it was I get to celebrate it twice. It was very, very nice.
Good.
So, rolling into talking about spiritual growth checkup. And kind of the idea behind this is sometimes we'll ask ourselves, I wonder how I'm doing. I wonder how I'm going. And I think we don't want to condemn ourselves, but I do think it's nice to do a check-in every once in a while, at least once a year, to say, wow, am I going in the direction that I want to go? I'm a real big advocate of, like, creating a metric that really will measure what you want to accomplish. And so last week we were talking about how you measure success. And a lot of that is, okay, like, what's your metric for success? What is that? And understanding, okay, what is your metric that you're using to measure your spiritual growth? I think a lot of times what people do is they hang around people and they compare. They're like, oh, this person's doing this. Based on kind of how you want to feel about your growth, you either pick somebody that's well beyond in your journey and you're like, oh, I'm a worm. This is terrible. Or you pick somebody, lower and you're like, oh, I'm almost Jesus. And you can't measure your success in your spiritual growth. You can't create your metric around other people. That's between you and God. But don't compare yourself is one, I would say. Just do not compare yourself. So I want to talk a little bit today about what kind of questions you might ask yourself if you're trying to figure out if you're growing or if you're moving at that rate, because it's not the one the world would be. It's not like, okay, how many meetings have you spoke at? How many, I think a lot of times, especially with ministry and Christians, how many souls have I won to Jesus?
Yeah.
And a lot of these ways that it's kind of like when we were talking about success, a lot of the ways that we measure things, they don't really measure what we're truly looking for. When we're talking about spiritual growth, the ultimate in spiritual growth to me is developing your relationship with God.
Yeah.
You know, building our character in just maturing, because you know, like we talk about a lot around here, it's not, God's not trying to change you. He's trying to peel off what the world put on you to reveal who you are. And once who you are is revealed, then we mature in that. It's just like, you know, we all don't stay crawling. We start walking, we run, no stage is wrong, but we want to see that we're constantly progressing, that we're trending upward.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you're at in the journey. There's no shame in your game, like where you're at in your journey, but we do want to trend upward over the years.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like, you know, here and then because the crazy thing is the closer you get to God, you'll always trend upwards.
Mm-hmm.
If we understand that it's the relationship that we're trying to build. Isabella just nibbled on me. So how can we do that? Let's talk a little bit about that. I think this is a good assessment tool. I just wrote down a couple questions, and I kind of want to talk about these because I think they're important. This is by no means an all-inclusive list, but I encourage each and every one of you to write down like a little assessment that you go over maybe every 6 months, every year, not in a way to put you down, but in a way to say, okay, the direction I'm headed, is that the direction I want to go? And if it's not, it's easy to course correct.
Yeah. Well, I think about it like even with your finances. In the beginning of the year, I think about not just my finances, but I think about goals I want to meet. But I think a lot of people financially have goals they want to meet, and it's the same thing. You're just checking in. Is what I'm doing matching? Yeah.
I think with relationships, we should have check-ins, you know, like especially like if you're married or in a romantic relationship. Hey, let me check in, you know, you know, am I being a good partner?
Yeah.
You know, am I being a good friend?
Right.
Am I doing this? We'll have check-ins. We've had check-ins before. It's like, you know, is there anything I could do better, or things like that? And I think it's good to do that. And just in all areas of our life. So we definitely need a spiritual growth check-in because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So one of the questions that I have on the spiritual growth metric is ask yourself, and hear me, you write down your questions that you want to ask yourself, because everybody has a different idea of where they're going, how they want to do it. But I believe that ultimately it's to grow your relationship with the Lord. And so these are questions designed, and I think these are like little symptoms that will show up. I love this one. The first one probably is, I'll probably say this about all, but this one is my favorite for right this side. No, everything's my favorite.
I love it.
How do you handle the word no? Like that's huge. You want to talk about your spiritual growth. How do you handle the word no? It's easy to be of good character when everything is bending and breaking your way.
Yeah.
But when you're told no, like in relationships, when you're told, you know, you feel like God is saying no to you on something, how are you handling it and how are you dealing with it? You can think you're spiritually mature, and then all of a sudden you're acting like a little 2-year-old when you hear the word no. And I always think that that's a great test. I tell single people, when you're getting to know somebody, watch how they behave when they're denied something that they want.
Yep.
You know, are they blamers? Do we, you know, when I'm told no, do I blame other people or do I accept responsibility? There's so many factors that go into it. But if I can't hear, it's just like with raising children. You know what makes, I hate to say this, but you know what, like if you see somebody screaming in the candy aisle, you know, when their parent or at the counters, the registers, I want this, I want this, I want that. Like that's a child. And hear me, we all start off not being able to handle the word no.
Yeah.
But as we grow up, you know, you can see an 18-month-old, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old doing that. But if you see a 15-year-old doing that,
that's not cute.
it's not. And then they're like,
Yeah.
But as adults, I know a lot of adults who can't handle the word no. Or when they handle the word no, they collapse within themselves.
Yeah.
You know, God hates me. Like, how many times have we heard that?
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart when people think that. Like, why? He is such a good father. Why would he say no just to screw up your life,
Yeah.
just to punish you. I mean, a lot goes into our image of what God is, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, because that should be growing as well. But if you can't handle the word no, like, you have some serious immaturity issues in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of any examples, with people, with yourself, with anything, a situation where somebody was told no? Don't be specific. Christina's that's my life. No. Because
Well, I mean, who
nobody
likes to hear no?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants
I
to hear
never
no.
want to hear no.
So nobody's making fun of anybody.
Yeah.
But if you consistently on a regular basis cannot handle the word no, if you fall apart when you hear no, you really you want to check that.
Yeah. I laugh because I won't say who, but somebody I know, and
Now, I'm like, you start to figure it out. All of us detectives.
yeah. If they get told no, they're like, all they hear is go push harder.
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm not talking about you. But I mean, but I'm not talking about you. No, it's so funny. It's somebody in my family, and so it's like if they hear the word no, it's like, oh, you just need me to give you a different reason or push more or something. And it's so cute because our person, when I was little, if I got told no, it was just, I didn't like it. I'm sure I didn't always respond correctly, but I wouldn't go back and push again.
You didn't even know that was an option, did you?
No.
That's so funny because with kids, based on their personality, they handle no, like the maturing of that very differently.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
But it was good. I mean, I kind of learned, like, sometimes you can go back around, you know? So
this negotiation, you didn't know that?
I
That's
heard
just the
you
first
need to come in at a different angle, right? But anyway, so I think that's cute. But I think recently, I guess my apartment thing was so big for me, so I always go back to that. I was doing some negotiating on the cost, and I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but I got close. So I almost said no because it wasn't not because I was being a brat. I just was like I was like, I don't know if I should go past this point, but
so
I ended up going with it.
You were willing when you heard the word no, you can't have that, to say, okay, I'm gonna look somewhere else.
I did.
I saw that you did that. Yeah.
But what I will say is, what I have found is the more I want something, the harder it is to hear no. Like if I'm like locked in on I need this to happen, it's very hard for me.
It is
to not get bratty and be like, I want what I want.
We all do. And that's why, like I said, write this question down and ask yourself again in 6 months, have you made progress? Because I do think that that's a really good metric point. How do I handle being told no? I remember with Parker when he was little. It's so funny. Our eldest, Chad, we were able to say, no, honey, don't touch that. And he would just be like, okay, you know. I won't touch that. I get that. We won't touch that. It's no big deal. It's no big deal.
My older little was like that. Yeah, my older brother.
With Parker, we would have to like look maybe where he was headed. Like especially if it was fragile, right? We'd have to look and kind of like just silently, slowly make our way. Because if he got any inclination that we were going to say, don't touch that, he would race us for it. So you couldn't be conspicuous about it. It's hilarious, the different ways that they handled. Now, I will say, Chad, when he got older, did not like the word no. But it was funny to me because after Chad, we were so used to, we were just like, no, honey, don't. Okay. Like it was very easy for him in that area where Parker was like, like you don't want me to have that. Makes me want it more.
I love it.
I know. I don't know where he got that from.
I know. I can't imagine.
I don't.
Who did he?
I know, right? That's crazy.
I have one of my nephews. I remember when he was like 3 or so. You'd be like, "Don't touch that," and he'd look at you, and then he'd be like, "Do not touch that," and he would stare at you for a while,
weighing out his odds.
And he would just look at you, and eventually he would go.
And we're like that sometimes with God, or just in the situation. We just, it is a maturity mile marker when we can begin to gracefully and honorably handle the word no.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, nobody likes to hear it. Nobody likes to be told no. But at the same time, you will hear the word no many times in life.
Mm-hmm.
And do I break down? Do I curse everything out? Do I get mad? You know, it's not that we can't ever get upset about hearing the word no, but it's ultimately, do we recalibrate and be like, okay, and we move into acceptance? How fast do you move into acceptance with the word no?
Yeah.
Or are you 5 years later still like and bitter and jaded and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a good way. That's a good metric point. Another good metric point is, can you stay out of judgment? I think it's very, very important to observe, to take in. If we want to stay in reality, we have to have some balance. So I'm by no means saying be a doormat, because that would be another metric,
Mm-hmm.
is to, can I find the balance in things, and how well am I finding the balance in things? So really, that would probably be a better way to word this question. How am I about finding the balance? Because I need to be able to look at truth, but at the same time, I need to not put personal judgment with that. Like if somebody is, let's just say somebody's a thief, right? Can I look at them and say, wow, I wouldn't leave my purse around that person, without saying, oh my God, that dirty, filthy liar, that dirty, filthy
Right.
thief.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a big difference. You don't want to be blind to things. Jesus wasn't blind to things, but he also dealt with things. But he did deal with things without judgment and compassion in that way. So, can you look at people? How are you looking at people? Can you do it without being judgmental? A lot of times, what we're just simply doing when you're judgmental, you're not so much judging other people as you judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I judge myself, I'm going to project that on to other people too. If I don't like a quality in myself, I'm going to project that on to other people and not give them any slack in there. I'm serious. Like, you take a look at the areas in your life that you don't like about yourself, and you watch how hard you are and judgmental you are on other people in that area.
Yeah. Just watch some reality TV and listen to your commentary. You'll find out real quick if you're judgmental. That's how I catch myself sometimes. I'm like, ooh, Christina, I hear it. I hear that.
It is. Like, and I will say, I think certain, with this checklist, certain personalities have a struggle with a little bit more things than other things. I would say if you on the continuum are more optimistic, then you're going to be less judgmental. But if you're too optimistic, then you're like not in reality. But if your personality lends itself to just be more pessimistic, and I don't say that in a bad way, like it's important that we have people in the body of Christ that see problems, right? But the key is the enemy always wants you to come in and be blind in denial or be steeped in judgment. So we don't want to be on those extremes. So are you judgmental? Or can you look and see the truth instead of having like this Pollyanna attitude that's like, no, everything's great, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Because usually I want to observe the facts. I want to observe what's going on. I just don't want to place my personal judgment with it. But like you said, watch reality TV or just, people watch. Think about things like this. What do people say that bothers you? Because there's certain things. I'm not talking about like a righteous anger rising up in you and then you're like, no, don't do that. Because you're just, that righteous anger gets stirred up and you're like Jesus in the temple, throwing tables. But what are the things when people say, I'm trying to think of an example. Sometimes just like when, a huge example is like religion or politics, right? I know that coming from the deep South, my grandma always said, you never talk about religion or politics. And you know why now? I know why now, because it gets so controversial that it's not polite dinner conversation.
Yeah.
Or it's not nice visiting conversation because people get so heated.
Yeah.
But the reason people get heated is because they're insecure about their ideas, so they need everybody else. They're forcing their opinions on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A secure person will be able to hold their own values and hear the values of other people
Mm-hmm.
without just getting just ballistic and heated. Like somebody else having a different opinion. Like say if we were it would be easy to talk about like what's your favorite color?
Green.
Okay. Mine is probably, I don't know. It depends on what it is. But overall, kind of like purple or pinkish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my favorite color, right? Like, oh my God, why did you pick green? Green is so disgusting. Like, like that would be crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, they're just opinions. How you feel about politics is just an opinion, your point of view based on your experiences. And even with religion, like we each have our own personal relationship with God. I don't have to talk. The Holy Spirit, converts people.
Mm-hmm.
Holy Spirit gets in there. All I have to do is be myself. But I'm sorry, if you're walking around being a class A jerk, you're not a really good representative from the kingdom. And just
Mm-hmm.
be quiet. Like,
That's
I
right.
could get on a big soapbox about this because it makes me so mad
Mm-hmm.
with judgment. It serves no purpose except to alienate you from people
Mm-hmm.
and either elevate you or, make you feel terrible. Because
Mhm.
sometimes the judgment comes against ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're judgmental, you're usually judging other people or you're judging yourself. And a lot of times it's really just both.
Yeah.
Think about the areas where you feel insecure in. Like it's going to go one of two ways because we're all insecure in some areas. Hopefully we have a secure attachment to how we feel about ourselves and things like that. But if we're judgmental, if I'm like, like with the stained glass class, there would have been a time in my life when I'd have been like, man, this is no fun. I don't want to do this because I'm not great at it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, Angie, it's your first class. Of course it looks like a preschooler cut out your circle because you don't know how to cut glass yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so can I observe that, man, this looks like something a preschooler cut out and still be okay and not put that judgment on myself. Be like, that makes sense because that's your first time.
Yeah.
And it's really important to accept ourselves like that and not judge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even just looking past the intermediate class, I'm like, oh God, there's some more. There's no judgment there. I'm just observing, wow, it's a reality check for me because I thought by the time I got through the first class, I'm going to be just a pro. And it's like, okay, readjust your expectations because I didn't even think about it, but I got to learn how to solder a straight line.
Yeah.
And
It's
coming for me.
you.
It's coming for me fast. I'm going to be like, okay, that's
right.
another thing that I have to learn about it. And
Yeah.
because you see these, like in cathedrals and stuff, I don't
my
know why I'm
gosh.
thinking mine's going to look like that, but I kind of really did. It's
I would be the same way.
I mean, if you think of like stained
give me
glass,
a couple weeks.
I know. I mean, how hard could it be? But these are professionals that have been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the way it looks. It's beautiful and I will stick in it. But I mean, I was so excited picking out my glass, but now I'm thinking, man, I don't know with this first project, I don't even know if we can display it. I will bring it here so y'all can see it.
Yay.
It's crazy, right?
I know.
So judgment, how well do you stay out of judgment? And like I said, these are things to get your mind sparked to ask yourself. Write down any other questions because like I said, not only would I look at how the judgment part of it, but am I able to stay out of denial? Can I accept reality? Because we don't like reality.
No.
We like our reality, our version of reality. Like I said, I have an image of what talking about like the subconscious mind workshop. I have an image in my mind of what stained glass looks like. And my picture I'm learning that, oh wow, it's not same. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just need to understand it. But how many times do we do that? Couples get married all the time and they're like, here's my image, here's your image, and they're not same.
Right.
They're like, woo, I thought it was going to be like this and it's going to be different. It's not bad, But if you're too locked into your image, it's going to be really hard to let
Yeah.
it go.
It is.
And you're going to get very judgy. And
Mhm.
you're going to be judgmental to yourself. Either way is not going to work. The third one that I have down here is, do you lead with love? Is love your first response to something? Now, hear me. If you're answering yes to all of these, I call yourself, you're not in reality, because it takes us, I think, a whole lifetime to learn to
Oh, yeah.
go deeper into leading with love. It's easy to lead with love with people you like, but, sometimes my response to that has changed over the years in the way that, okay, maybe somebody I love, it's hard to lead with love, but then the more I get to know them, it's easier. People you like, it's easier to lead with love. But now how I begin to evaluate that in my life is the person that I like least in the world. What is my first response to them?
Yeah.
And if you're like, "Bleh," or anything like that, oh, y'all laugh, but
What are you
it's
talking about?
but we all do it. And in a situation, when a situation pops up, what's the first? I was talking about a situation earlier, and I'm like, oof, that just aggravates me.
Yeah.
And was I leading with love in there? I wasn't.
Yeah.
But don't beat yourself up for it. It's okay for me to be aggravated, but
Mhm.
as we spiritually grow, we want it to be our first response, and hear me, not a denial response, not a just I'm pushing a feeling down, but it be authentic, that's truly my first thought, my first
Mhm.
go-to. I think honestly, I think I'm really good at leading with love, but we all have. I mean, I didn't lead with love earlier,
Right.
in that example that I won't say what it is, but it's hard to learn to always lead with love.
Mhm.
But the thing is the bigger our relationship gets with him, the easier the smaller our problems seem and
Yeah.
appear. But that takes a lifetime of deprogramming all the things the world has put on us.
Yeah, I always think if you want to see how good you are at that, just go drive around in Houston traffic for about an hour.
Yes.
Let me know.
Or experience slow internet.
Yeah. So true.
Traffic and internet.
Yes.
Like those are just things
That
that'll
is
make you
so
you
true.
will
Not even like
lose your
no
mind.
internet, slow internet.
I know.
Oh
No
my
internet's
gosh.
better.
I was trying to log into something yesterday, and I think the website was messed up, and it was like, "Why is this taking so long?" So yeah, that's
I
so
know.
true.
Did you lead with love?
I did not. I was so mad.
It was so funny. I was on a phone call the other day talking about slow internet. Oh, it's infuriating. I was on a phone call the other day, and I was looking up something for this person. I said, hold on, let me look this up. And so we were talking, and I'm looking it up. And it was a book, the title of a book, and it wouldn't come up. And I'm like, and just waiting, and I'm being impatient. And then, so, you go and you click on the airplane mode and off so that you'll connect to a new cell tower.
Didn't work.
It did. I hung up on the person because once
you turned off your airplane mode.
I know.
Oh, that's so funny.
So once you hit airplane mode, just FYI, like
so cool.
I called them back. I'm like, that's totally on me.
You're like,
I hit
oops.
airplane mode to try to speed up my internet connection.
That is cute. It's true.
That's how impatient I was. I didn't
Yeah.
even think that, oh my gosh, this is going to totally hang up my
Mhm.
conversation.
That's right. No. Just see how great. If I'm not in a hurry, I'm very loving in traffic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gracious. Go
Goes back to that
ahead, no
everything bending
problem.
and breaking your way.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be
if I'm in
awesome.
a hurry or I got somewhere to be or I'm tired of being in the car because I drive a lot
Mhm.
for work and
You
stuff.
can't lead with love.
Oh my gosh. I'm like not the nicest person.
And so, like, we're laughing about these things, and you have to keep a sense of humor, but you really do want to grow.
Yeah.
Like, how have you grown in handling traffic?
Oh
Because I would say
yeah.
that.
I mean, most days you just kind of go like, it is what it is.
Mhm.
You know.
And if you're in the same place, like 5 years, like we want to grow in leading in love, and our
Yeah.
first response just be in love. And it really does go back to how aggravated I am, how frustrated I am, how, we all like to say we don't have an entitlement mindset, but even me like wanting faster internet, like, oh my gosh, just like we get an entitlement mindset. Like, I'm entitled to fast internet,
Right.
and I demand it right now.
I paid for it. I've done that at my house. I'm paying for this, and it's not working.
What is funny, as soon as you get frustrated, we'll have to write that one down too, the entitlement mindset.
Yeah.
Because people, more often than you really realize, we slip into an entitlement mindset
Ooh.
really, really, really fast.
Especially when we get told no
Mhm.
and we don't want to.
Well, you go to a restaurant and you have to wait on your order. What are you going to do?
What is taking
How
so
dare
long?
them take so long?
I know.
Or somebody mess up your order, somebody make a mistake, something like that.
Right. Could be the worst day of their life. You don't even know.
You don't.
Mhm.
And so in situations like that, we get to practice leading in love.
Right.
And now everybody can course correct and be like, okay, I'm aggravated for a minute. But what I'm really talking about for a spiritual growth check, is that becoming more and more your natural default is to lead with love? And I believe that I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
And absolutely that has grown for you. And I believe that's grown for me. I believe that if we get intentional, that's why we want the spiritual growth checkup. Because if you're intentional about heading towards these metric marks, then you work on these things.
Yeah.
There's so many more that we could put on here. Even just things like, do I take accountability? Like when I make a mistake, am I able to not blame but take accountability? Am I able to say, wow, that's on me? Just like, when I hung up, I'm like, hey, that was me.
Yeah.
Like, that was all my fault. Not even fault, but just, that's on me.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm why it hung up.
and because so many times we don't want to be wrong. We don't want we're people pleasing, and like beginning to look at these spiritual growth metrics. That's another good one. People pleasing.
Yeah.
How are you doing with people pleasing? And hopefully the people that you need to please, the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah. And I would say it's hard to lead in love whenever you are people pleasing.
Oh my gosh,
Because
virtually impossible.
You're just doing it to avoid.
And anytime that you'll do something because you have to do something, you're going to get bitter.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
You have to be able, and that's why accountability and responsibility are so important. If I feel like I have to do something, like, man, we could grow this list. Are you a victim? What's your percentage of victim?
Yeah.
Because if you feel like if you're telling yourself I have to do something instead of I get to do something, man, it messes with your mindset.
Yes. And I will say too, I find that whenever I switch it to I get to do this, or I say to myself, you want to do this, it makes me get more curious about why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Well, if this is really what you want to do,
And why you
and
got
you're
an
choosing
attitude
to do it, why, why are you feeling resentful, and why are you doing it? Do you really want to do this?
A neat trick we kind of do with clients is, what do you want? I want this, but I don't want this. So, I want a bikini body, but I love tacos. I mean, like, and two things that don't go together. A lot of times we'll try to put two things that don't go together, and then we'll say, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, give it up. And then it makes you kind of really begin to evaluate, okay, which one do I want more?
Right.
And just being honest with yourself about that helps take you a little further. Like somebody will come in and they'll say, I hate my job.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Somebody hates their job. But if that becomes a sticking point for them, well, quit your job.
Yeah.
I can't quit my job. I got to pay my bills. Exactly. So we need to figure out, a better solution than just hating your job. Do you want to look for a new job? Well, I don't want to look for a new job. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to do this. Then I guess our option is to become more at peace with your job. But I hate my job. Quit your job. A lot of times we will just loop around things and not be able to solve problems because we won't own. If I don't like my job, but I like to pay my bills, which one do you like better?
Yeah.
You use your hate for your job more, or your love to pay your bills better?
Yeah.
because we'll see which one's going to win out.
Yep.
And it's just that way in life.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, let's look for solutions.
Mm-hmm. The next one is, can you look beyond your circumstances? Ugh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
A lot of
to do.
We get caught up in what our life looks like in the moment, and we lose that eternal perspective that we're blessed with.
Yeah.
What is that saying? If the ending isn't good, then it isn't the ending.
Yeah.
It isn't God.
Yeah.
Because our circumstances are so temporary, but we live in such an instant gratification world today. We want everything fast. And sometimes things, our circumstances are just what they are for the moment. And am I going to break down and act like a little brat over a problem? If I'm walking down the road and I hit a pebble in the road, a lot of times y'all are hitting pebbles in the road and you're acting like you ran into Mount Everest, you know? Well, depending on our spiritual growth and where we're at in that journey, there's no shame in that something feels large or something feels big. But if everything in your life is feeling large and big, we need to begin to look at some other things. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you nurturing yourself? Are you doing the things that you need to do so that you don't wake up in a negative energy? And I don't mean negative energy. I mean like you either have enough energy for the day or you're already in the hole.
Yeah.
By the time you wake up, you're already in the hole.
Yeah.
How many of y'all have ever stayed up really, really, really late or not slept well? You wake up in the hole and with your energy already that day. And so it's just you're going down from there. And so it's important to take care of ourselves in the way that we can. Yeah. And a lot of times how we restore is so important. If we're in circumstances that drain our energy faster, like if you're going through a divorce, if you've had a death in your family, you've got to adjust your idea about how things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going through a divorce, you're not going to wake up in a good mood every day. Sorry to tell you that. If you're going through a death, you're going to be crying a lot. And it's so funny that our metric tends to be, I need to wake up and feel amazing.
Yes.
Every single day.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. If you look at even days like 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, most of the days are average days, because then 10s wouldn't be 10s and 1s wouldn't be 1s.
Most are like anywhere between 4 and 7.
Yeah,
That's
and you shoot for that.
And
when you have the 10, the 7, 8, 9s, 10, like that's amazing. But sometimes you're going to have the 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Yeah.
And
one thing that you will. I've talked to people about this too, but we don't check in every day.
We don't take the temperature every day.
And when you're in a circumstance in your life that you don't like, we don't, like if you're going through a divorce, you don't check in every single day to check the temperature and decide that's how well your life is going or not going.
Circumstances, a lot of times people live event to event to event to event.
Right.
So say like if you're going through a divorce, if you're going through a death, you don't wake up and really like, okay, they didn't text me today. Or even like say with dating, let's just say that.
Yeah.
They didn't text me. Oh my gosh, that means they don't like me.
Yeah.
Maybe they got to work. Maybe they got to, you know what I mean?
Busy. Maybe
they have a life.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, depending upon our mindsets or what our energy is or what our vibe is in that moment, we look at circumstance and we go from event to event to event, and sometimes life just happens. Like things like if you're waiting on something or if you're building something, like let's say you're building a house, there's probably a lot of things that are not going to go as expected.
Yes.
And so if you live from, okay, this moment to this moment to moment, and you invest all of your energy into that, you are going to be exhausted because you're going to be turned around. So understanding that you can't live from event to event. You can't take the temperature every single 2 seconds and try to feel stable. That's not stabilizing. That's very destabilizing.
Yeah.
A lot of times with clients, we'll say, let's try something for, it depends on what it is. Like if they're going through a really hard time, let's try this for 30 days.
Yeah.
Because our tendency is the more draining our an event or a circumstance is in our life, we will just get a very pessimistic, negative mindset, and everything sucks. Well, let's try this, and they try it 2 seconds, and then they're like, "This it didn't work. It didn't work." No, like in a relationships, no, you're not going to turn your relationship around in 2 seconds.
Right.
You've had 10 years of crap, and
2 weeks of counseling.
and let's just be realistic about that.
Yeah.
But we get impatient with our circumstances because we just want to not be in pain.
Yeah.
But I think even with spiritual growth, what we begin to learn is that we don't have to fear pain. We can handle pain. It's our attitude towards pain that'll really screw us over.
Yeah.
If I have a mindset that I'm never supposed to suffer, and if I suffer, something must be wrong. And we're really taught that.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but we're taught that. We're taught that if you're suffering, or if something bad happens, or something's not perfect, then something's wrong with you, or something's wrong with your life. And then we kind of just spiral from there. But you know what? You're going to have bad days. You're going to have hard days. You're going to have days where you don't feel good. That's why I personally believe the only thing you can base your worth off is what the Father says about you. Because if you base it off circumstances, let's say even just people pleasing, let's say you're at work and your boss says, "Great job," then your worth, if your worth is based on yourself, your performance, then it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm amazing." And then you come in and your boss says, "Man, you missed that deadline." You crash out, and we're just dragged all over by performance, by approval from other people.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people tie their worth. We're fixing to do the emotions and money. Sometimes people tie their worth to money. If I make a lot of money, I feel really good. And even then, it's not enough money. Like it's always chasing that carrot. And so there's just so much that you just cannot base how you're going to think, how you're going to feel off of your circumstances. I'm not saying not be wise and observe, but you have to understand that we have an eternal perspective because we're kingdom minded. We're not interested is in that moment. I think the key thing about circumstances is just deciding with your character, how am I going to respond to tough times? How am I going to respond when something, kind of like we're talking about, when I'm told no, how am I going to respond to that?
Yeah.
And how am I going to act, and how am I going to behave? Because we have people in the world in general having breakdowns over, you got to go pet the pony because somebody said something mean to you. Like, people are going to say mean things to you. You have to learn to look beyond your circumstance and learn that your circumstance is not your identity, or you will crater. So as a spiritual growth metric, how are you doing compared to 6 months ago with that? How are you doing compared to last year? As you begin to learn about your identity in Christ, you should continue to look beyond your metric, your circumstances.
Yeah. And I also think too, when you are doing anything, I always think about it in ministry terms, but this goes for anybody. If you're trying something to reach for something big, or to reach for something that's a big stretch for you, or
there's more than one step.
Taking a big leap. Yeah. I mean, you really have to have that eternal perspective. Yeah. You can't think about the moment and how it goes or how it doesn't go, because it's a long-term process sometimes. And you know what? You can't compare. You can't compare, because you
can, but it won't go well.
Yeah. Because when you're doing something, when you're taking a big leap and you're just going to try something you've never done before, or something that just feels hard, like, you just have to stay focused on that thing. You can't, like you said, you can't take the temperature every day.
You can't, because you'll just be riding up and down. What you can do every day is focus on how much God loves you.
Yeah.
And that will keep you stable. Yeah. Well, you know what? We're only a few into our points. So you know what we're going to have next week?
We're going to do part 2.
We're going to do part 2.
That's
because
awesome.
I don't want to rush through this.
Yeah.
And I want you, like I said, the whole goal of having this spiritual growth checkup or check-in is for you to have your own checklist, not to beat yourself up with, not to be a performance thing,
Yeah.
but to just ask yourself, am I heading in the direction that I want to? Like I said, overall, our whole goal is to become more relationship focused with him instead of works focused, instead of performance focused. And so how do we do that? We've got to begin to recognize his love for us. And it's through that we begin to grow. If you think
Yeah.
about it, like with a relationship, you'll do anything for your best friend, but a stranger, it takes a little bit more energy.
Yeah.
And so we won't go too much more into that because we'll open up a whole new point. But let's do that. Let's next week do part 2 of spiritual growth checkup or check-in. And what I'd encourage each one of you to do is come up with your own checklist. Just so, like I said, do not use it as a beat-up list. I hate to even say checklist with some people.
I know.
Because people will use it against themselves.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of checklist, we use check-in. Let's check in and see, like, where am I at with this? And we just, if you don't like where you're at with something today, that's great news because you don't have to be there tomorrow. You can begin to turn your life around one step at a time. And when I say turn your life around, like if you're not, let's say, we said one of the ways is, can you stay out of judgment? If you're like, man, like, I have a hard time staying out with judgment. Okay, so don't beat yourself up for where you're at. Just start working on it.
Yeah.
Just start, a good way to stay out of judgment is to practice gratitude. I would definitely say practice empathy. Like, how do you do that? It's really hard to practice gratitude and have negative thoughts.
Yes.
And so that's a real easy way. When you see something that is like, it just triggers you to be judgmental, begin to just immediately come up with something of gratitude. I remember I was going through a tough time. Our washer broke and Rob was out of town. And of course the part takes 5,000 years to get in, and it was during football season. And so I remember having to go each night after a full day of ministry and all that kind of stuff, and then taking care of Parker and getting him to football and all that kind of stuff. And to go to, because I don't know if y'all know anything about Texas football, but it's nasty hot, and the clothes are just nasty. So I'd have to go do that every night. And I remember one night I was especially tired, and I just thought I was so frustrated. And I could have gone to maybe my mom's house or somebody else, but you know what I mean? Like, especially that late at night, by the time I was doing it, I don't want to bother or burden anybody. So I'm going to the washateria, and I'm just thinking, okay, be grateful, be grateful. Lord, thank you that we have clothes to wash. Lord, thank you that I have a car to drive to the washateria. Lord, thank you that I'm just waiting on a part. Thank you that this is not my everyday life. Like, there's always something to be, I don't care what the problem is, there's always something to be grateful for. So I say all that to say, when you begin to measure and you're looking at that metric, if you're unhappy in an area, just figure out what you need to do to grow 1 millimeter in that area. And that's why I say with judgment, when I was feeling frustrated, to me, like, gratitude takes care of so much. You're frustrated. If you're in gratitude, it's hard to be frustrated,
Yes.
Yeah. So think about that. I'll pray us out. Christina will end our live because we're down a camera person.
Yeah.
Okay. Dear Lord, I just thank you. I just thank you for everything that you do for us. I thank you for the abundance of wisdom, the abundance of love that you pour out. Lord, that you're so intimately involved in each area of our life. Lord, I'd ask you as this week goes by, Lord, that you would just begin to show us ways in which we're growing. Lord, sometimes, we're looking to see and making sure we're growing. And Lord, there's millions of ways that we're growing that we don't even see that we've had growth. I would just ask that you would give everybody eyes to see how much they've progressed and how much they've grown from something. Lord, and if there's an area that somebody wants to grow in, and Lord, let it be an area that you would like to mature them in, not just an area that we're making up that we're terrible in. Lord, that it would be a maturing in an area that you would actually want us to mature in. Lord, give us the love and the faith that, okay, we're not going to beat ourselves up for this, Lord, that we're just going to mature. And Lord, I thank you that you're with us each and every day. Lord, I thank you God, I just thank you for the sacrifice of Jesus, Lord, that we may always be in constant relationship with you. In Jesus' name, amen. Stay tuned for part 2 next week.